But Robbo, you are our go-to on the pitch football guy, and I want to start with the final. I shared my thoughts. I thought Lionel Scaloni outcoached Didier Deschamps, and it's not even until until 80 minutes, or 70 minutes, he had the upper hand and blah blah blah. No, I thought he had the upper hand, and then stuff happened with the penalty and whatever. He won the tactical battle here against Deschamps.
Well, certainly for the first 65, 70 minutes. I mean, they played a high-intensity game. France couldn't get any sort of foothold in midfield. They couldn't get it into their front players with any sort of quality. The defending, I thought, all around the pitch from Argentina was good. They were a threat when they did win the ball back. Messi found himself those little bits of spaces. Di Maria with that big diagonal over the top of Koundé got at his man. So overall, Scaloni got it absolutely right. But I would say after half-time, he then went to a slightly more defensive mode, trying to slow the game down and trying to almost kill the game off. I'm not sure that was the best tactic.
You got a 2-0 lead. I mean, I think we can maybe discuss should Di Maria have been up. But Di Maria still had a lot of it. I thought he had a lot of energy late into the game, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. Meanwhile, the other dude, look, we talked about this before, right? Off air. Pre-tournament. Let's just break it down to individuals, right? If we did a combined 11 of these two teams pre-tournament, I think we both agreed there would be maybe 3 Argentina players who would make it.
Absolutely. You know, I kept on looking at Argentina, looking at their 36-game run, whatever it was, winning run. So they must be a great side. So I started looking at their players, and I think, well, I commentate on him in La Liga, and he can't get in the Sevilla side, and he's not particularly good, and De Paul hasn't really done too much for Atletico Madrid. So I was actually disappointed in their personnel, and I would say France, from 1 to 11, had a much better side on paper than Argentina did. And
that's the thing. On paper, in reality, Argentina fully deserving because he had some square pegs and round holes by necessity. He changed his system so many times. Whereas Deschamps' solution, and this really angered me. It angered me more than Jules. I don't know if it angered you, right? 40 minutes in, right? Dembele's having an absolute stinker. Giroud's not getting the ball, whatever. Who makes a substitution at 40 minutes and taking off? We've seen Jose Mourinho do it, and then made headlines many years ago when he did it in the Premier League.
But he usually only did it to one player, and it wasn't quite working. He needs to make a tactical change. I understand that.
It's a World Cup final, and this is your greatest. You can't wait 5 minutes till halftime.
Because if you wait 5 minutes, you can then get your tactics across to the players much better at halftime than you can by sending on 2 subs and taking 2 players off. Yes, Giroud wasn't posing a threat because he couldn't run in behind, so they weren't getting the ball high enough up the field to get crosses into the box, and Dembele was having a nightmare. But wait till half-time and then restructure it and then tell the players this is how we're going to play for the second half. So, I think he made a mistake doing that.
Obviously, France get back into the game again. Do you think it was deserved, or do you think they were the benefit? Obviously, Mbappe ends up scoring a hat-trick, right?
Yeah.
He's the second person in history after...
Jeff Hurst.
Thank you, Sir Jeff Hurst.
Sir Jeff Hurst, sorry. Certainly to me, Sir Jeff Hurst.
Now, there's 2 ways to look about it, because we're talking about 2 penalties and a phenomenal Mbappe goal.
Yeah.
Both penalties maybe could have been avoided, but also both were forced. So the Otamendi one and the other one, the Nahuel Molina. If you're not in a... Sorry, no, it was Montiel.
Yeah, Montiel,
with the handball. If you don't take the shot in that position, if you don't force it, then those penalties don't happen. So it's not really fortunate that they got back into it, right?
No, they've had more pace in the side. When Thuram came on, then Mbappe went up front for a little while, and they brought the player on the right-hand side instead of Dembele. And all of those players played much better in the second half. But 70 minutes in, 65, 70 minutes in, I'm still watching the game and thinking, there's no way back for France here. Argentina are in complete control. The game was just meandering. I thought it would be 2-0, maybe even 3-0, and that'd be the end of it. But I also thought it was a game, we're talking about tactics, it was a game of mentality. Players and the coach's mentality changed after 60, 65 minutes, every 5 minutes. When Mbappe scores the first goal, you can see the Argentinian players are thinking back to the game against the Netherlands when they were 2-0 up and conceded 2 late goals. So they didn't come out and play quite so much. Then when France got the equaliser, then they went and defended a little bit more. So there was a lot of changes in mentality.
So 4 years ago when Argentina got knocked out, I had to write that Lionel Messi, one of the greatest players in history, would likely not win a World Cup as a protagonist. Obviously, he proved me wrong because he won a World Cup as a protagonist.
Yeah.
A lot of people are interested in this greatest of all time debate, and he's won the big one and blah, blah, blah. And that puts him, he's won it the way Maradona's won it, the way Pele's done it. He's obviously achieved other things as well. Very simple question. I don't like this debate, but I'm contractually obliged to ask you, does this mean that Messi is the greatest player of all time?
No, not necessarily. I would still say that Pele was absolutely outstanding. And when you see clips of him again and you see his record, Pele was right up there. Maradona is in a similar bracket, but I would say still had more influence on the Argentinian national side than Messi. Messi's the third maybe best player in the world that the world's ever seen. I'd still go with Maradona, Pele, and then Messi.
There you have it. You know who to direct your bile to, just like you directed your bile at me when I said he didn't need to win a World Cup if you think he's the greatest ever. Different eras, different situations. It is apples and aardvarks, as I like to say. Pele was never allowed to play in Europe. Maradona played in a different era where he had to play on a team with 8 Italians, which I would view as an advantage, but in reality, he wouldn't be surrounded by the best players in the world the way Messi was at club level. It's different situations. Let's just be happy that one of the greatest ever, if possibly the greatest ever, got his just reward.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.